Good, YouTube? DKO back with another video. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I appreciate all the support I've been getting on my videos, um, especially on my TikTok too. If you haven't checked out my TikTok, check out my TikTok. It's the same as my YouTube, D_KO. Um, I blew up on two of my videos. One of them is at, I think, 15K, and then the other one is at almost 30K. So I appreciate you guys for your, unconditional support. Road to 10K, road to 10K with TikTok. And we're almost at we're getting close to 500 subscribers. We're not quite halfway there yet, but we're getting close. So appreciate the support you guys have been giving me. It means a lot to me. Um, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there for sure. All right, enough yapping. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about how I overcame my suicidal thoughts and my depression. Obviously, you guys know that this is a very touchy subject, and it can bring out a lot of emotions. Just because I know a lot of people can relate to this, and obviously now in this current moment, I'm an influencer, content. I do content, and I provide and post, self improvement stuff. You know, things like have to do with spirituality, mental health, and stuff like that. Like, I like to post things that provide value and share my mindset with other people and how I view the world with other people and benefit other people. Like, that's my goal. My goal is to basically, provide value and all the things I've learned throughout the years, share it with somebody else and make somebody else's day by watching my video. That is always my goal. But it's never there was a point in time in my life where I didn't have this great of a mindset. Like, you guys are like, oh, you have such a good mindset, you post a lot of great videos, you have a powerful word. Yes, but I was not always like this, unfortunately. And obviously, to get like this, you have to go through the hard times, you have to go through the struggle, and you have to face it fully, learn from it, grow from it, so you can then provide and share your message with other people. So I just want to kind of share my story with you guys. Obviously, as you guys know, this is a very touchy subject, and it brings out a lot of emotions, but you're probably thinking you used to have suicidal thoughts. Like, I would have never thought based off your content. And yes, I have. Like, everybody goes through the rough times, and the rough times and the dark times lead you to where you're supposed to be and lead you to, going through things. Sometimes God will, allow these things to happen, allow you to feel low vibration or, face and suffer from depression so you can grow from it, learn from it. And then once everything you've learned, you can use your word to influence other people. And I believe that is what I've been called to do on this earth. And I've known this for a long time, but you know, you know, your depression does not define you. Um, Suicidal thoughts, they don't define you. But let's get into the video. So I'd say from the ages of 14, so I was a freshman in high school. From the ages of 14, so this was 2019, 5 years ago, to about, I'd say, early 18 years old. Um, I struggled really, really bad. Like, that was the peak, honestly, the peak of my mental health. I had ADHD growing up, which I think that kind of tied into it because, in school I couldn't focus. I was hyper. Like, I literally, you know, couldn't focus in school. My grades weren't that good, so it would lower my confidence. I was put on this IEP plan, 504. Those really didn't work. Like, I kind of look at it now as basically I wasn't really. It's not really that I wasn't focused. It was just I did not care necessarily. But I mean, the ADHD is there, but I feel like most of it was because I genuinely wasn't focused. Because you know, old souls, just school just isn't meant for them. If that makes sense. School was never easy growing up. I had a lot of friends. I was very popular in school. Like, I knew a lot of people. But the learning part of it, definitely academically, like, you know, having to go and be provided with special education, being pulled out of class, and you know learning differently, being told I have a learning disability and that I learn differently. That definitely triggered the start and peak of my depression, I would say, for sure. And obviously, freshman year, I wasn't out yet. I wasn't like, I didn't come out yet. I was still in the closet. So, like, struggling with my identity and being able to come to terms that I'm gay, like, that definitely had, you know, an effect on how I would think and how I would act towards people. Like, I definitely was more mean. I was in drama a lot freshman year, but it was all because I didn't like myself. I mean, I was that this was a time in my life where I was really struggling with who I am as a person. Like, I was so lost. Like, it was just it was a sense of loss. Like I was lost, literally lost. And then COVID came around, March 2020, and honestly, those like 4 or 5 months we weren't in school, like it benefited me. Like I really, it forced me to really, excuse me, it really forced me to sit down and come to the terms and, you know, narrow down what do I like. And then TikTok was like very, very popular too. So I would see all these people out and comfortable in their sexuality, and it kind of just influenced me to like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with who I am. I have to come to terms with it, accept it, and I'm unique. Like this is, this is who I am. I can't just ignore it for other people. You can't live for other people. You got to live for yourself. So I really focused on me. That you had no other choice in COVID. If you're in it's like an isolation. Couldn't go anywhere but stay in your house. Like all I could do is really go outside and run, or chill in the crib and watch TikTok. So that really forced me to come out, and I'm very thankful for the pandemic in that aspect, because if it wasn't for the pandemic, I probably wouldn't have even became comfortable in my sexuality that early. It probably would have took another year or two. But yeah, that's when I really started to come. That's when I came out and came to the terms with everything. Then about after the pandemic, it was sophomore year. Went to school, and this is when I really started to get into my experiences with girls. Like basically, um, I had a few. I didn't at this point. I didn't have any girlfriends until junior year. But sophomore year, I was talking to girls, texting girls, hanging out with girls, and I was like, I guess I was just like a hopeless romantic. I mean, at 15 and 16 years old, you're so vulnerable. Like I would get a lot of girls would use me because I was out. Like it was obvious because like masculine presenting. It's obvious. Everyone can look at me and tell that I'm gay and like girls. So I would go out and basically, you know, girls would walk up to me, ask for my number, or in school, like they're, the bi curious girls in school, they'd always, try to hit on me, text me, but they had boyfriends, but they would text me on the side, and like, I would get excited at it. At 15, 16, like I said, you get excited when you get a little bit of male or female attention. So since I was comfortable within myself and getting that female attention, I was falling for it, and I was being manipulated terribly. Like it's bad. Like I was being manipulated, bro. And a lot of them would just, they'd have boyfriends, they'd use me to question themselves, and then all of a sudden, like, I'd get friend zoned, and they would end up going back to dudes or talking to dudes. It was a whole thing. So that obviously kind of triggered my depression, and it made me feel insecure, and it affected my self-esteem. I just felt like, wow, am I even capable of being loved? And then later on, sophomore year, things were getting really, really bad, and I ended up going to the mental hospital. Like I was admitted, it was like late April. Suicide attempt. Yeah, I attempted to kill myself because I just felt so unworthy, because I let these girls manipulate me and make me feel less of a person, which I would never ever do that again. But I was so young and vulnerable that I let people take advantage of me. But going to the mental hospital, coming out of there, I definitely, at least came to terms I would never ever try to kill myself again over anybody, no matter what. But I was also struggling internally with some childhood trauma. Um, and it has nothing to do with my parents, sisters, whatever. It's with extended family. So I had to go through that. I had to do a lot of interviews on that, and you guys probably get what I'm saying here. I don't really want to talk deep on it because it still is something that I'm healing from today as we speak. Something that happened, but I was the ages 5 and 8 by an extended family member. He's locked up in jail, so that helps my case a lot. We went through those interviews, going to court multiple times from 2021 up until 2023. So March of 2023, that's when we had the trial and everything, and he's been in jail ever since, and hopefully is in there for life. But yeah, that childhood trauma, that really affected me. That affected like a lot of things. Like it was internally, I was internally struggling too, along with the sexuality and feeling like I can't be loved because of who I am, and the girls taking advantage of me because they didn't know who they were. It was all projection. They were projecting onto me. Um, but yeah, you know, um, definitely was those were some dark times in junior year too. Um, Junior year, I transferred to Fairfield to play basketball because West at like just sophomore year, I was really really good. I was constantly putting in the work. Like I was good at basketball, like really really good. And I've had basketball broke my heart multiple times. Like that played a big factor too. Like, during the season of sophomore year, I was promised a varsity spot, and I worked all throughout COVID. I mean, taking those videos, like we had videos that we would take on Zoom of us playing basketball meetings. Like I was working my ass off, and you know, I had got COVID or something, or got quarantined because of whether association through class, or whatever. I can't even remember, but I got quarantined. And they would kind of just tell you if you were quarantined. They didn't care if you had symptoms or not. They would just quarantine you just in case, so other people wouldn't get sick. But I basically got quarantined, and they I was out of basketball for like a week, and then when I came back after the tryout, they were like, "You're on JV." But then this girl who was not as good, like, she was not good. Period. Like she got the spot above me, and I like asked the coach. I was like, "Why? I worked so hard. She didn't even come to all the summer workouts. She didn't do shit." And he's like, "Well, you were quarantined. That's why." But in reality, it was politics. He picked favorites. Whatever. That's the reason, and that caused me to go into a depression mode because I loved basketball so much, and I was so passionate about basketball. Like basketball was my life. And it was just like, okay, I didn't make varsity sophomore year. I'm not gonna have a basketball scholarship. And that just would really, you know, made me just struggle. Like I was just so depressed because of what coaches were saying about me. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna train, quit. I quit mid season, and I told myself I'm gonna train every single day on my own, and then I'm gonna play AAU, and then I'm going to transfer schools. So that is exactly what I did, and I did great. AAU sophomore year was amazing. I did amazing. I was in I was one of the top three best girls. College coaches were contacting me, stuff like that. I got a recruiter who reached out to me through Twitter, and he was like, "You're very very good, and I think you're fit for playing college ball. We're gonna get your clips out there." So that is exactly what he did, and I transferred to Fairfield. Fast forward transferring to Fairfield. So when I transferred to Fairfield, everything went well. Like I did fit in with the girls. Summer practices and leagues, they were fun. I was dominating for real on the team, and the coach was like, "Wow, like you have raw talent. Like we want you on this team." Like literally, like the coaches there really really liked me, and everything went well. And then you know, fast forward close to the season start, everything went well until November of 2021. I started to I was on I was on Adderall. I was on ADHD medication to focus in school. And Adderall had the worst side effects on me. Like it was not meant for me to be taking that. Like it was to the point where I was like angry, lashing out. I had mental breakdowns all the time. I literally I'd get on the court and I would just kind of zone out. I would just stand there. Somebody tried to pass me the ball one time, and I literally was just like frozen. The ball went right past me, frozen. And I was talented. Like that was not me at all. I was not myself. It felt like an out of body experience. Like those medicines that they give, that the doctors give people, it's so fucked up. It's very messed up that they allow the doctors to give us those medicines when in reality there's a lot of natural remedies that we could be doing for mental health. Like ridiculous. Put on medicine and there's no therapy, no solutions to my problems. Like that I don't believe in taking prescribed medicine for mental health. That's just me, but that's from my personal experiences. So, around December, after I had a humongous mental breakdown in school because of basketball, and I, got into some arguments with some of the girls on the team. So I was just like fed up, and I was like, I went to my doctor. She gave me antidepressants, whatever. Those worked pretty well. Definitely, I started to play better in basketball, and then the transfer portal kicked in, and they were like, yeah, you can only play half the season because you transferred. Um, you didn't because here's the thing: Ohio has this rule, like if you don't transfer at the end of the school year to the school that you're going to, if you play a winter sport or a fall sport, you can't play the whole season. So I had to sit out half the season, and I was doing so well, so that damaged my mental health. And I was like, fuck, I worked so hard to transfer, and I couldn't even finish out my year. So I just felt so shitty about myself. But luckily, I was still able to practice so I could stay in shape for AAU. But I was on those antidepressants. They definitely helped me remember plays. I was able to play to my best ability. I was in really good shape. Um, but the antidepressants, they did cause me to gain a lot of fucking weight. So like the next season, like senior season, I like gained a good 40, 50 pounds, and that definitely affected how I played. And like that summer going into senior year, I was also going through a bad breakup. I mean, bad fucking breakup. Like it was really bad. It was like, whew, I don't wish that pain on anybody else, but it was a very bad breakup. And it caused me to, you know, kind of depend on substances. Nothing hardcore, but like weed or vaping, nicotine. Like I would just do that shit every fucking day. And I was just like, I was so addicted to the nicotine. I was so addicted to being high. I didn't want to feel sober. And, that affected the way I was performing in basketball. We also had got a new coach. And this new coach, he just did not believe in me whatsoever. And, fast forward to the season, or I'd say this was like a few weeks before tryouts. I basically bought edibles from the local smoke shop or store, whatever, and I took them, and I think they were laced with something because I started to green out, and I had it like basically a seizure, like my mouth was moving like this. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't breathe, and like everyone was laughing at me, calling me stupid. Like these people were so toxic. Like you see somebody, not even there or like halfway conscious, and you're not even helping them, asking if they're okay. They just were shitty. I had shitty people. I had shitty friends when I went to Fairfield. Like none of them had my best interest in heart. They all had some animosity towards me, whatever. I don't really care. But you live and learn from that. But basically, there were like two of the girls there, and I'll never forget them. Like they don't even know how much it means to me. They were there for me. They grabbed my phone, they called my mom, they stayed there for me until I was able to get home safely, trailed me back to my house, made sure I got safe back there safe, because somebody else ended up driving my car back, and you know my mom had ended up picking me up. So they basically trailed me back and made sure I was safe. I will never forget those girls. And you know who you are if you're watching this. I appreciate y'all, because y'all were really there for me that night when I felt like I had nobody. And I just had a mental breakdown that night too. People ended up crowding around me and praying for me. I will never forget that moment either. Like that meant a lot to me. And to this day I still talk to that family who sat there and prayed for me. So um I was going through it senior year. Senior year, like the first half, it was pretty fucking bad. And with being the kind of school that Fairfield is, a lot of people there are messy and drama filled. So a lot of the girls that were against me kind of used that against me, and they told the coach, because I mean this happened at Hamilton High School. Like it was still on technically school grounds. It was at a Fairfield versus Hamilton football game when I tweaked out, whatever. But there were other girls on the team who also took the edibles too, but they didn't get held accountable. Again, I was the one held accountable. Coach pulled me aside and told me, like, we're going to shut this down. I don't want, any of this. And he was like, KO, do you do drugs? And I was like, no, I took edibles, but that's it. Like, I opened up to him about my mental health and how bad it was, and he was understanding. But season comes, and he doesn't put me in any type of reps. Made the team, but I feel like he put me on the team because he felt sympathy for my mental health. So fast forward, workouts, tryouts, and I just knew in my heart, I knew in my intuition. My intuition is so powerful. My intuition told me he's not fucking with you, KO. Like you're gonna have to either, you know, thug it out till the end of the season and deal with not getting much minutes, because he told me straight up to my face I was not gonna get minutes for real. I was basically a backup player. And he told me if I was a junior that I would have made JV basically, which was fucked. Like, come on, bro. But he told me that, and I just remember crying because my gut, like before he told me, I remember crying the day before he told me that. To the assistant coach, I was just bawling my eyes out. I was like, because basketball was like my passion, bro, but it just never worked out for me. It was not. And looking back at it now, basketball was never gonna work for me. It just wasn't meant for me, bro. But um, I just cried. I just didn't know what to do. I was so fucking depressed. But um, I ended up going, I ended up quitting. I was like, fuck it, I'm quitting. I'm not going to put up with this. It's better to, do my own thing than be in a sport that makes you so depressed and makes you feel so worthless. Like I would identify with the sport because that was my passion. I wanted to play in college. I wanted to get a scholarship. I've wanted to do that since I was 12 years old. And basically, I was like, I got a job. I started to work. I went back to Lakota West actually because I wanted to graduate there, and life was definitely going better. I got into my second relationship. It was good for, it had the highs, it had the lows, whatever. But, coaches started to reach out to me, and I was like, whoa, I quit. Why are you texting me? And I was like, okay. I pulled my dad as I was like, these coaches are texting me, but I literally quit. And they were like, well, Kayla, if it's meant for you to play, it's gonna happen. It's gonna, if God wants you to play, He wants you to play. Like, everyone's journey's different. I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna take the risk. So I started to go to training individually. I went to physical training, not physical training, but like endurance training, Rise Fit. I did that throughout the whole summer of last year, and I went to, like I did all that, was consistent in the gym, and then boom, I got a JUCO D1 offer to Lincoln Trail College in Illinois. And I proved everybody wrong. I proved all the coaches that doubted me wrong and everything. So, um, yeah, it definitely worked out for the better. But I got there a month later, and not I got there, and I didn't even last 2 weeks. I left on the eighth day. I was like, "Fuck it, this is not for me. College is not for me. Sports, like call it like the basketball, just wasn't for me anymore." Like, my body, like I was in shape. Don't get me wrong. It was the mental aspect. I was mentally checked out from all these coaches doing me wrong that I just did not want to play anymore. Like I just knew in my intuition was telling me like God has something else for me to do, and like just school was never for me, like I said, because of my I'm not gonna blame it on my ADHD, but I think even if I did not have ADHD, it still just wouldn't, whatever. But yeah, um it just wasn't for me anymore. So I came home and I decided to reach my goals for real. But I was very insecure. Like, that's when I started to really get big into content creation. I was very insecure though with my appearance. Like I was 20 pounds heavier. My face was very, very, very chubby a year ago. I remember just taking videos and just hating the way I looked. My brain was so foggy, I just couldn't think straight. This is when I went back to smoking nicotine and weed, because I mean the person I was dating was big into that shit. So it kind of rubbed off on me a little bit, but that's that's another story. But yeah, I picked up these bad habits again, and I wasn't consistent in the gym. I probably gained since coming back from that college maybe 20 pounds. I don't know. I have not weighed myself in a year because that gets me depressed. But I um got on this, like I was just looking at myself, and I was gaining weight. Like my stomach was hanging out of my fucking shirt. I would have never thought, because I was always so into fitness, and I am now, thankfully. But a year ago, I was so lost. I had a lost sense of self. I was so lost. I was not in tune with myself. I wasn't close to God. So of course, you're gonna feel that way, and that's how it was for me. So basically I just was like, I kind of just focused on that. I was doing trial and error consistently, clothing brand, drop shipping. I tried that, didn't work out, whatever. But content I knew was something that was going to stick with me for sure. So that's what I pursued. And my relationship was definitely bringing me down, draining me. Like, I got so ugly in that relationship. Like, bro, it was, and this sounds really, really bad, but I was so depressed. I would literally not even brush my teeth sometimes. I wouldn't even shower some days because I was so depressed. I hated who I was. Hated who I was. That was the ugliest I've been since before I even came out. Like I was just like I don't know. I just was, bro. I you have to be confident. You have to love yourself in a relationship. If somebody's making you feel worthless, or they make you feel uglier, you don't feel beautiful, you don't feel attractive in your relationship, you should feel just as much attractive single than you in a relationship. If you don't, gotta leave. But you know, that was taking a toll, and seeing all my friends in college, seeing all my friends in college, and then me knowing deep down it wasn't for me. I felt all that FOMO. I felt like I was missing out. I felt like I wasn't having fun. But everyone's path is different, and I came to terms with that. And people would make fun of me, like my mom. My mom wouldn't make fun of me. I love my mom. She wouldn't make fun of me. But basically, like, you got to take the safe route, Kayla. Like, you got to go to college. Look at all your friends. You're gonna be 4 years later. You're not gonna go to college, and all your friends are gonna be in college. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, my path is different, and my intuition gut is telling me that's not for me, and I need to pursue this, which is what I've been doing. And I was still a little iffy on that. Like, I was still debating. I was like telling myself maybe I will go to UC next semester. That was the plan when I got back from college. I was like, I'm gonna go to UC next semester. I'm gonna go be an electrician. I'm gonna go be a plumber. Like, those were my thoughts, and you know a bunch of, like, they were like, be realistic, be realistic. I told them I want to be a clothing brand owner. I want to do dropshipping. I want to do content. Like, be realistic. And I was like, bro, all these limited thoughts, like limited believing thoughts, that also made that fucked with my self esteem too. It's not their fault because the older generation is programmed. that is not their fault. And I love my mom, so there's no hard feelings with that. But basically, just made me feel kind of worthless. It made me also, on top of not loving who I am inside and out, it made me just feel very uneasy, and it made me lose confidence. So I was lazy. I didn't have the motivation and drive that I do have now. But fast forward, um, March, March of 2024. So March of this year. Um, my ex randomly woke up one day and was like, "I don't want to be with you anymore." Didn't really give me a clear explanation. Just said, "I don't want to be with you anymore. Sorry if this hurts your feelings. I don't want to be with you anymore." And at that moment, I just remember I cried 12, like, it was like at 1 p.m. I was at work. It was on a Friday. I cried from 1 p.m. up until 4 in the fucking morning. Like, I've never cried so much in my life. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I just cried. Like, I don't even know how I didn't pop a vessel. Like, I remember waking up and my face was just so swollen. Got a haircut the next day to try to make myself feel better, but that didn't do shit. But at that moment, that is honestly when I truly knew I need to stop being a victim to my problems, a victim to everything, and make something out of myself. And I knew I had a clear vision for about a year of what I wanted to do. I wanted to, you know, do content creation, be an entrepreneur, make money from my phone. I knew I wanted to do those things. I just cared so much about what my friends and my family and everybody around me would say. But like, I was like, you know what, Kayla, I told myself, you know what, it's time to stop being a victim to your problems. If you want to lose weight, go to the gym, change your diet. That is what I told myself, because I was fat. Like, I was fat as fuck from the time I came back from college up until March of 2024. I was fat. My face, my skin wasn't clear. My hair was nasty. Like, my teeth weren't as white as they are now. I was so disgusted with who I was. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to not be a victim. I'm going to make myself be the problem for months. Grind, lock the fuck in. And that is exactly what I did. And, you know, that when you can finally take accountability for your actions, that is when things will truly start to go up and be better for you. I quit smoking nicotine. I barely smoke weed. If I smoke weed, I don't even know. It could be probably twice a month. I don't really smoke. I changed my diet. I stopped eating all that processed food. I go out in the sun now. I sunbathe. I got closer to God. God saved me. None of this would be possible without God. I can't thank God enough for everything He's done for me in the last 4 months. Like, I could have never seen myself being this far. It's unreal. It's unreal. And started to take vitamins, where I work out like 6 days a week now. I got into boxing, did stuff like that. I basically just stopped being a victim to my problems. And obviously, when you're going through a breakup, it's harder to, you know, learn, or you can't really control going through a breakup. Like, you can I mean, if you break up with a person, you can control, but if someone breaks up with you, hurt you, you can't control it. You can't control every disappointment in life, but you can control your action, and how you're going to what you're going to learn from it, and how you're going to then turn it into a positive. You can control that. And basically, like, I started to heal the healthy way, because during my first breakup, like, the first girl that I dated, she was my first everything. Like, that was my first real relationship with a woman. So that was intense. Dude, that was intense. I didn't heal healthily. Like I said, I was getting with a bunch of girls. Like, it was a bop. Not necessarily a bop. It's not like I was, physical with all those girls, but in my phone, flooded with women. I needed attention. Like, I couldn't be alone. Smoking every fucking day. Like, I would smoke in my room. My parents, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but yes, it was that bad. Um, hanging around the wrong crowd, trying to be a thug. Like, I would try to be thuggish. I thought that was cute. I was lost. So, like, I was like, I'm gonna heal healthy. I'm not gonna talk to girls um at least for 3 months. Like, I'm not gonna entertain nobody at least for 3 months. I'm going to focus on me. I'm gonna isolate. I was in a season of isolation. I really focused on myself, and I was like, I'm gonna go with my purpose. I don't care what anybody says. Basically, what I'm saying here, the key to, not being depressed, you have to have a routine. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, it's going to cause you to feel lost, and you're going to be confused, because you're going to be like, why am I waking up every day? Do I have a purpose? You have to try to make action and take action to step into your purpose. Everybody has a purpose. You're not here for no reason. And if you're not focusing on yourself, if you don't have a routine, you're going to feel lost, and you're going to feel like you have no purpose. Like, you know, I wasn't looking back on it, looking back at it, I never had depression. Never had depression. I was in a very low vibration and I was lost. I had no sense of self. I didn't love myself. I didn't value myself. I would take bare minimum from girls, take bare minimum from some friends, let people walk all over me, or surround myself by talk to people, do things for other people's validation. I was not depressed. I was lost within myself because somebody who loves themselves, somebody who is confident in themselves is going to put themselves first, and they're not going to they know they're not doing the shit for everybody else. They're doing that shit for themselves. And that is exactly what I realized. And I was like, I created a plan, I created a goal. You know, don't limit yourself. Work on yourself, do the right things, kind of fake it till you make it, and you're going to start to attract so much better. You are who you hang around. You know what I mean? Your body is a reflection of your lifestyle habits. All of the You can control all these things. I felt so out of control, like I couldn't control this shit. And I just basically took accountability, 100% accountability, and made everything my fault. You have to be confident within yourself. You have to know that because God placed you on this earth because He wants you to either, better somebody else's life, learn lessons in this lifetime. Whatever the case is, everybody's purpose is different, bro. You have to love yourself. You were put on this earth for a reason. Like, and I didn't believe that at the time. I was so lost within. I didn't connect with myself. And you have to learn yourself too. Learn more about yourself. Once you learn more about yourself and understand how you are and who you are, then you'll know exactly what you want. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted. And I honestly think depression is literally just being lost, not having a sense of self, not having a routine, not feeling like you have a purpose. Have a goal, create goals, set goals, have goals for yourself, work hard and reach them, and you will just be happy. You'll fall in love with the grind, you'll fall in love with the process. Hang around positive people. Don't seek validation from other people. And also social media too. Don't compare yourself to people on social media because not what works for you will not work for everybody else. You know what I mean? You have to be so confident in your skin, and you have to know I'm not like them. What works for Sally's not going to work for Billy, type shit. So that's really what it is. And you know like my lifestyle habits have helped with my depression. Like I don't identify with depression. If you identify with depression, you're going to be depressed. I don't have depression. I was lost with myself. I didn't have goals for real. Like I had goals, but I didn't know who I was. Once I found myself, once I started to love myself, once I started to take care of my body and my mind, that is when I became really, really happy. So number 1, focusing on yourself, learning yourself, figuring out what you look for, figuring out your hobbies, and figuring out, what you want your future to look like. And number 2, creating a plan, creating a goal, create a goal to reach, whether that's building a business, starting content, going to college, making your high school team, getting a college scholarship, or clearing your skin up, losing weight, whatever it is. Create a goal and reach that goal, work for that goal, grind, take action. And number 3, self-care. Like self-care, it can be different for everybody else. I mean, it could be the obvious, which is taking care of your skin, going to the gym, sweating, sitting in sun, um basically, maybe your self-care is, watching YouTube, hanging out with your family. Just find something that is self care. And once you can find that self care and practice it, journaling too, meditation, you're set for real. Like, you'll feel so much better about yourself because you give yourself that self care. We're like plants. We need to be watered. We need to be treated with respect. Value yourself and give yourself the self care days that you need. And number 4, this isn't even number 4 for real, but I consider this number 1. Get close with God. And I'm not a religious person. I view God from a spiritual standpoint. I think there's one God. And I'm spiritual. I feel like, energy is a very big thing. I feel like, you know, we're put on this earth for a reason. I feel like, God and the universe work together. That's just how I see things. If you don't like those beliefs, then I don't care. I'm my own person. That's what you want to believe, whatever you believe, but I respect other people's beliefs, but hopefully you guys will respect what I believe. But, you know, get right with God. Pray to God. God loves you. God cares for you. God put you on this earth for a reason. You're not here by mistake. Nothing is coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Everything shapes you into who you're supposed to be. And I was very low at these times in my life when I was depressed, but I don't regret it for a second because it made me into who I am now. I wouldn't have started my content, wouldn't have bettered myself, wouldn't have lost all this weight, wouldn't have gotten so in tune and so, you know, in love with myself. This is the most confident I felt in like 4 years. Like since I came out and came to terms with my sexuality, this is the most confident I felt. Like I'm really, really healing in all areas of my life. But yes, prayer and manifestation are very, very powerful. What you think will happen. What you say will happen. Your words are very powerful. And your thoughts are very powerful. That's why it's very important for you to have self care days and you know do things to allow you to have those positive thoughts, clear your head, and such like that. Your mind is like a muscle. If you're not working it constantly and taking care of it, you're gonna crash, which will cause you to have depression and be at such a low vibration. Another thing I will say too, I've had a therapist for 3 years now, and she's helped me a lot. Like even just having somebody that you can just listen to, and if you genuinely don't feel like you can afford a therapist, whether it's money, family, whatever you feel uncomfortable, journal your thoughts. Scream, go outside and scream, go to the woods and scream, let it out, let that shit out. Do not hold that shit in. Let that shit out consistently. Journal maybe twice a week. Like, it feels good. It's literally a release. All your thoughts thrown on the paper, it's a release. You feel so much better. But having a therapist, going through therapy, especially with my childhood trauma, talking to a licensed profession about those problems, it helped a lot. Like, but you don't want to just go and just go to go. You want to go for your benefit. Like, and all these things that I've listed too that will help you with your depression and suicidal thoughts. Like, you don't want to just say you're going to do it. You want to actually do it. Actually do it the right way. Do these things the right way. Doing things the right way is what will get you far in life. You know what I mean? Having therapy is very beneficial. I think everyone needs a form of therapy. Everyone needs a form of therapy because everyone was brought up in this world differently. Everybody has their challenges. Everybody's gone through some shit. Like, we all have gone through some shit, but we can either choose to identify with everything we've gone through and be so defeated, or we can take action and tell ourselves, this is not who I am. This is just a test. This is just a bump in the road. This is a part of my chapter, and this is developing me into who I am meant to be, who God has called me to be in this lifetime. So the choice is up to you. You have control of getting over the problems or whatever. Medicine works for some people, but medicine is just a cover up, bro. It's literally a cover up. That's how I feel. Medicine is a cover up. It's literally just filling a void. But you're filling a void with medicine. You're not even taking action. You're not practicing healthier lifestyle habits. So practice healthy lifestyle habits, because that is a reflection of who you will be and who you will become. So, not saying medicine is bad. It definitely could be the icing on the cake for some people, but actually do things like therapy, going to the gym, self-care, prayer. Do things to take action to actually get there. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Just wanted to get that story out there, help some people. I know a lot of people may have had it worse than me, may have gone through similar situations, but we got this, guys. Like, things happen for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And I definitely did have my fair share of struggle the last few years, but this is all part of my process, and I wouldn't be here if any of this happened. So I'm grateful and I'm glad that it happened. Be grateful for the dark times, because to they get you to the bright times, the good times, and they get you to see the light. So I appreciate you guys. Stay blessed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my TikTok for more self-improvement videos. If you're having a bad day, or you just feel overwhelmed, you feel depressed, take a look at my TikTok. I post these videos for audiences of people who struggle with mental health, or want to better their lives and take action to better their lives. I don't post those videos for no reason. I post those videos for situations like this as well. So take a look at my TikTok. If you're feeling sad or depressed, you have mental health problems, you are not alone, and you will get through this if you take the action. But my TikTok is the_KO. Um, but yeah, you guys are loved. You're appreciated. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. Do what you want to do. Take the steps to be who you want to be. Don't do this shit for nobody. Don't listen to other people. Do the shit for yourself. Just be yourself. Be confident in your own skin. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Stay blessed. Peace.
No one thing, no. Bitches, they come, they go. Saturday through Sunday, Monday through Sunday, yo.